Hi.
Nice to see you again. Welcome.
Thank you. Gaurav again.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is a sort of continuation, but on a very different topic. Many of you will be familiar with obviously with Rixos, and of course you're all familiar with Gaurav's plan for global domination, where there doesn't seem to be a brand that's not on his target list. Gentlemen, maybe I can start by asking a simple question. Whose idea was this? I mean, you know, you've coughed up 50% for his company. Did you go looking for him, or did you go looking for him, or you met in a bar? How did it come about? You were looking for each other.
Yes.
And it was love at first sight.
Really? Well, now we've got two revelations that the press are going to enjoy. So seriously, what was the? Perhaps start with you, Gaurav. What was the appeal? I mean, all-inclusive. Obviously, we've seen it. It's very sort of centered in certain parts of the world. We're familiar with it in the Caribbean. Rixos is really a pioneer in Europe. You really struggled to identify a brand that would be so focused on that. What was the appeal to you?
Sure. I mean, Accor, as you know, has a very strong footprint in this region, in Asia Pacific, in South America. We've been on a plan to diversify, as you heard Sebastian talking about it, our brand portfolio. And part of that is, again, just coming back to what Sebastian was saying, our big focus has been go where the customer is going. What is the customer looking for? And we strongly believed that the customer is moving towards an experiential, a curated experience. And we've put billions behind it. It's not a buzzword. We absolutely believe it, and we've put our money where our mouth is. I think the other diagnostic that we made is that whilst we absolutely believe in some of these emerging, the fast-growing segments, all-inclusive being one of them, we also know what we don't know. And I love the fact that we're not arrogant enough to think we know everything, because we don't. So we went about looking for partners, best in class, that we believe, that have the same culture, so the same value system as us, and can help us grow the business. And absolutely, this is where we found a great relationship with Fettah. We believe the all-inclusive market is by far and away one of the fastest growing, greatest potential markets in this region and in all the emerging markets. And in this region, we are now seeing explosive growth that we haven't experienced in the last 12, 18 months since we formed our joint venture. The pipeline that we're seeing for the Rixos hotels is actually mind-blowing. And it's all because this is what the customer is looking for. They're not looking for a stale experience. What we love about what Fettah has done is he's given all-inclusive a very strong twist of lifestyle, entertainment, food and beverage. So it's a real experience. You're not going there to a sloppy buffet. The same thing 7 days a week. It's not just a price-based offer. It's an experience-based offer, and this is what we like. You talked about the all-inclusive, all-exclusive. If you look at the latest Rixos in Abu Dhabi, it is in 4 months outperforming the entire luxury market in Abu Dhabi. Why is that? Because that's what the market is looking for, that's what the customer is looking for, and this is why we love our partnership with Fettah.
Fettah, Gaurav's just actually stolen my line there. One of the things you're famous for saying is, we're not all-inclusive, we're all exclusive. So just explain for everyone, because I think there's a really interesting disconnect, I think, with some people, that all-inclusive, as Gaurav has tried to tell us, is not the case, is a little sort of mass market, a little production line, whereas your entire ethos was actually the reverse, that if you wanted a really high quality experience, an exclusive experience, you could get it at a price point that made sense to you, but also made sense to the consumer. Is that correct?
Thank you, Nick. That's definitely correct, because all-inclusive used to known as a cheap product. And the perception was cheap product, or they used to call it everything free. Just, I call it all-inclusive and all-exclusive to make sure there is nothing free and it's not a cheap product. It's just a convenient package to end user. Because even the wealthiest people are counting money. The reason they are counting it, because they are wealthy. So we
What you
want
mean they've actually got some money to count?
exactly, exactly. So we wanted to make sure that the value for money is on place. And I have started from Antalya. I mean, I'm sure many of you are aware about Antalya. It's one of the toughest markets in the world. We're hosting 14 million visitors with average stay 10 days. So we have 140 million overnight. And the competition is really very tough, head to head. So you have to be very innovative and you have to come up with a very unique product. And our destination used to known many years ago, before 2004, a cheap destination. When I came up in 2005, I call it all-inclusive, all-exclusive, integrated resort where you can host a guest for 10 days without bothering him or her, or even giving them more pleasant stay. I call it destination by itself. So we came up with totally integrated, new plan destination where we had sport, kids, entertainment, wellness, of course, food and beverage. And that's how we start to sustain our business and also to succeed our business. And of course, we introduce a very high-end, expensive product to the market. I will just give you a small example just to laugh also. I have designed a villa and I asked my people to put 7,000 euro in that time per night, all-inclusive villa. And they told me it's not going to be sold because we haven't seen anyone who paid 7,000 euro per night. After 2 weeks, they called me, they said, we have 2 different guests who are willing to have the villa for same time. I told them, okay, put on auction. They said, what do you mean put on auction? I said, whoever pay more, you give to them. And they reached 15,000 euro, one guest who booked it for 45 days. But that villa, where we had a private chef, where we had indoor-outdoor pool, where we had a lot of facilities for kids, so it proves that the all-inclusive, it was all included. So people knew if they pay 15,000 euro, what they're gonna get for.
They're basically getting everything.
I mean, everything was not included, but it depends what you mean with everything.
Indeed. So look, one thing I've learned is I'm definitely not going to negotiate a rate with you because that's going to end badly. Gaurav, I've heard a couple of things here that sort of, we don't generally hear in the hotel industry a lot. One was about the importance of food and beverage, and we hear a lot about people thinking it's important, but it's not really delivered particularly well. And the other is obviously that you can deliver it profitably. So you've been in this relationship now for, what, nearly 2 years?
Yeah.
What are the numbers looking like? Is it, because I guess there's always the sort of point at which you're looking at it and you think, wow, it looks pretty good. But then you get in and you think, oh, we missed this, we didn't see that. Has it proved to be better than expected, as expected?
I think it's actually proved, in a nutshell, much better than expected. We've been outperforming our numbers, and it's a combination of a few things. But coming back to your question, which I think is crucial, particularly in the segment that we're talking about, all-inclusive luxury, the fundamental point, one of the biggest parts of an experience you can deliver to a customer, the touch and feel, is the food and beverage. I mean, you heard, we did an analysis across when we were launching all, with all our customers, over 50 million loyalty customers. We did an extensive sampling of what are they really looking for. Not surprisingly, 3 things: food and beverage, sport, and entertainment. No big surprises there, but how do you actually leverage that into a serious business proposition? So we've really focused together with Fettah in working hard and learning from him, because I think he is probably the best in the industry at delivering that experience of food and beverage and entertainment at a scale that Very few people can. It's actually easier to deliver a high quality food and beverage experience in a boutique environment. But when you try and do it with 300, 500,000 rooms, it's a whole different ballgame. So that quality at scale is not something people can really achieve quite easily. It takes a skill. And so we've focused a lot on that. And again, the numbers speak for themselves. I'll come back to our latest opening, the Rixos in Abu Dhabi. 4 months later, it is performing well above the entire luxury market, well ahead of its business plan. And it comes back to the basics. People enjoy the experience and they're willing to pay a premium to be there.
And so tell me a little about where you think Rixos can go. Obviously, its origins are in Turkey. You've brought it into the UAE. Is there a link between certain consumers in terms of geography and culture and their acceptance of it?
Sure. I mean, Rixos already was pretty strong in Turkey. It's becoming very, very strong in UAE. Our plan is absolutely to build Rixos to a global scale. We are now going into Asia. We're exploring opportunities in South America. So, I mean, this is where the partnership works. What Accor can do for the brand is to give it a global scale, network, relationships, a global development and distribution platform, and we rely on Fettah to build the programming, the content creation, the product, and together we think we have a formidable combination because, you'll find a lot of, in this region in particular, you find a lot of beautiful hotels, the stunning hotels, including all around here. But once a customer walks in and they've been impressed by the chandeliers and the marble, what are you going to do for the next 7 days whilst they're there? What are you going to do to make sure you keep them engaged and make sure that they are spending good money with you? That's where the programming comes in. And without programming and the software, the hardware doesn't mean much. And that's what I think Fettah does brilliantly.
So Fettah, picking up on that, I mean, you talked about Antalya, obviously the land of legend, yes. What you did there in terms of integrating entertainment, retail, the food and beverage experience, and effectively keeping people on site, right? Effectively enabling them to never have to leave. Can you replicate that out here? Because I mean, we hear about MGM coming out here, Caesars. There's a long list of the big operators out of the US sort of looking at this market. In some ways, they're looking at what you've done and saying we can do that.
First of all, I'm very careful by replicating and copying. I don't think that's something where our industry should head. I believe we are not a car producer who always speaks about the standards. We are creating a new lifestyle, and we are creating a destination. So what I do in our model, definitely I study the markets very carefully. I don't look what exists on markets. I look what is missing on markets. Competition is very tough today. People are running, fighting how to put more and more money on those beautiful rooms. My concept is not about that. I will look at globally who are traveling to the country, what are the needs, what is not exist on the market, what is missed on the market, and then I will do my property based on that. Of course, in one hand, we are operator, but in another hand, I am also heavily investing in this business. The Land of Legend came out because there was no downtown where we had a lot of hotel under operation. And I wanted to create a downtown for the entire region, which was a big success. So no need for me to create a Land of Legend on GBR where the downtown is well developed.
Yeah.
But if you go to Abu Dhabi, Sadia, definitely you look at what is missed on the market to keep people for 10 days or even more, and also to make sure that they will come back. Because our goal is how to get them back and more and more, more and more. And I'm very careful not to use the word of replicating and copying.
What is the sort of repeat pattern in terms of your guests?
Look, we are talking definitely about 30% repeat, and we are talking about at least 8 days average stay, which is overall, which is a big number.
Yeah.
But if we are talking about a property, but if we are talking about Rixos guests who are experiencing different Rixoses, is much more.
You should tell Nick, about the Rixos guest we had, who was sitting next
Yeah,
to us at lunch.
Yeah, we were
It's
just
an incredible story.
we were just in Rixos Bubble Bahar for lunch, and a gentleman was staying next to us, sitting next to us from Russia. He says he stayed 40 times in Rixos Belek, Turkey,
40 times.
40 times, and it's his 16th time here in Abu Dhabi, in
Ras
Ras
Al
Al
Khaimah.
Khaimah.
So we're really following them very carefully, and we know what is their needs, and we know what is missed. But we will never create a property which will compete our own property. So if we have a property where we are more concentrated on entertainment, definitely the next close property will be concentrated on kids or on youth or on sports.
So clearly differentiate.
Clearly differentiate, and we will be on top of the vision.
And I think, if I can add on to that, and what we find particularly impressive about what Rixos does and what Fettah has been able to do is the ability to create a destination. Because it's not about, as Fettah was saying, going into a core downtown location, building rooms and filling them up. We've seen Rixos succeed in remote locations, 800, 1,000, 1,100, 1,500 rooms at scale. And that ability to create a destination and drive your own demand that doesn't exist, that's a very unique skill set.
Yeah.
You're not tapping off the existing market, you're actually creating your market.
Well, I was very struck with what you said, Fettah, was sort of saying we don't look at what's there, we look at what's missing. So it's a supply-led approach.
And also, if we really have a tough time with the competition, we will definitely concentrate how to develop a new source market. It's not that we will, in my company, I just mentioned today morning, no one is allowed to tell me how the market is doing globally. I'm not interested at all how the market in Dubai is doing globally. I don't do my business model because I have a very simple philosophy. I tell my people, are there enough people who are arriving to Dubai airport for our hotels? The answer yes, and go and get them.
Right.
Don't tell me how the neighbors are doing. I'm not responsible for 200,000 hotel rooms in Dubai. I'm responsible for my own hotels. And luckily we are doing, I will not mention the market, I don't know where the market is, but last 3 years, if you look at our figures, we are doing better and better.
So, I mean, let's just touch on Abu Dhabi for a minute, because I think it's quite interesting. Couple of points. Obviously, Abu Dhabi's had a lot of new supply. There's been a lot at the top end of the market, and you're saying you're outperforming the top end of the market. So explain for me, if you can, because you're obviously, rather like you just said, you're not looking so much at the average rate, you're looking at the average spend in terms of what your client is actually going to sign up for. And you know that they're going to be there for a very specific period of time. You know exactly why they're there, which is broadly on holiday. And you know you've broadly got them as a captive within your hotel. So as long as you're doing your job right, they stay and they spend, and you know exactly what they're going to spend, and they feel they need to stay because they've already spent it. So if you take the bits apart of, in the classic form, the food and beverage element, the room rate element, and everything else, do you end up doing better than everyone in each piece, or is there one piece? Are you doing much better in food and beverage and
Look,
making?
first of all, in Abu Dhabi, definitely we are one of the best on market in terms of room rate and also occupancy-wise. We have developed a very different product. First of all, we are all-inclusive or exclusive integrated resort. Of course, the welcoming experience is great. Of course, the property is new and nice. Of course, Saadiyat is well developed. It has got a beautiful infrastructure. But at the end of the day, value for money is perfect. Because you mentioned just the classic way. I just do empathy. If I'm a British man who has 2 kids flying to Dubai or Abu Dhabi, I will not allow myself. Even I will start to count not to drink 4 coffee, because each coffee will cost you €8 or $8 or $5. And we are telling people you don't need to, actually I tell people as a father, I say, you can feel proud in yourself next to your kids, next to your wife, because you will allow them to eat and drink whatever they want. You paid 3 months in advance, and you don't need to count in vacation how much the ice cream of your kids is going to cost you. It's ridiculous, you know. You sit there, and your kids wants to take ice cream, you tell them stay here. You ask yourself 10 times, should I take one more beer or not, because it's 35 dirham. You know, in some of hotel, where I really was in a traditional hotel, when there is 50 guests, you have one waiter, and this waiter, half of his time, he's sitting and watching, because people are not ordering, they're just counting. Imagine you go to holiday, and all the day you're counting, should I order or not, should I order or not? But in my concept, I have 4 waiters, 6 waiters. Sometimes you see people, 4 people, they have 16 glasses. No problem, I wish them luck. I'm so happy you eat and drink more and more, because they come back to me. That's what I know, and that's what I want.
Well, it's actually quite a pleasure to listen to someone who talks about the industry in such a fundamentally different way, and talks about it as, you know, providing things that are missing, and providing experiences that, you know, avoid you having to reconsider that. You know, I find myself wondering if I can afford 1 beer, let alone the second, and the kids are definitely not getting ice cream.
And Nick, also, if I may add something more, everyone is talking about luxury, high-end. I mean, how you define or how you describe the luxury? We don't, in our group, in our brand, we don't speak about the luxury of the room or the size of the screen. Are we having better grass? Are we providing good services on the beach? Are we helping people to do outdoor sports? Are we getting their kids away all the day from them and educating them, entertaining them? If yes, then we are providing a luxury holiday. That's how we describe the luxury in our brand.
Well, I have to say, it's obviously a family man, and on that, unfortunately, on that note, we're going to have to leave it here, ladies and gentlemen, because we've still got some more of the agenda to go. But please welcome, please thank Fettah and Gaurav.
Thank you.
Much appreciated, gentlemen.
Thank you, Nick.
A pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, my friend.